You might think you clicked on this video by accident, in the middle of your busy day, between one scroll and the next. But the truth is, some things aren't coincidences. There are moments that mark an invisible break in someone's personal timeline. And when that happens, the feeling is subtle but intense. A mix of curiosity and butterflies in your stomach that you can't even explain properly. But you feel it, and that's already a sign. What you're going to hear here isn't just another pretty idea. It's not self-help wrapped in pretty words, and it's definitely not shallow content. It's a calling. And if you're hearing this right now, it's because a part of you has already started to wake up. Maybe silently, maybe still scared, but it started. And that's all that matters. For thousands of years, masters and initiates have spoken of hidden knowledge, a wisdom that couldn't be handed out just any way or to just anyone. This knowledge was encoded in myths, carved on the walls of ancient temples, hidden in words that only make sense when the soul is already in another rhythm. And one of those sources is Thoth, the scribe of the gods, the lord of time, the one who guarded the memory of worlds. But what many don't know is that Thoth didn't leave behind a physical book with his truths. The real book, the most powerful of all, is vibrational. It's not read with the eyes. It's accessed through the field, through a state of consciousness. But this access doesn't happen when you want it to. It happens when you vibrate in a way that activates the connection, like a safe that only opens with a specific frequency. And the simple fact that you're here now, listening to these words and feeling this energy, is already a sign that this code has started to vibrate inside you. Think about it. How many times have you felt that the world they told you about isn't the real world? How many times has that empty feeling shown up, even when everything on the outside seemed fine? There's something that doesn't quite fit, something that doesn't show up on social media, in the news, or in other people's advice. Because that something is beyond words. It's in the space of the unspoken, in the space between thoughts, in the silence that only you can access. And it's exactly there that the book begins to open, not with pages, but with perceptions. Reality starts to behave differently. Small signs, repeating numbers, strange déjà vu moments, increasingly strong gut feelings. All of that is the field responding to your inner call. And this isn't superstition, it's synchronicity, the language of consciousness in motion. Thoth knew this truth couldn't be forced on anyone. It can only be accessed by those who feel their time has come. And that time isn't marked on the clock. It's marked by vibration. That's why no one finds this knowledge before the right time. Because it requires preparation. Not intellectual preparation, but vibrational. It's no use memorizing it. You have to live it, feel it, dive into the invisible, and allow reality to begin dissolving in front of your eyes, not like a tragedy, but like a liberation. And that's where many people give up. Because when truth starts to reveal itself, it's uncomfortable. It confronts. It destroys certainties. It deprograms everything you thought was real. But if you stay here, if you make it through this beginning without turning back, something's going to happen. Something irreversible, because once the book starts to open, you can't pretend you didn't see it. The world stays the same. But you're no longer the same person who clicked on this video a few minutes ago. And this is just the beginning. Now the part almost no one dares to look at will start to surface. And it doesn't wait for you to get ready. It puts you face to face with the truth in a way that can't be ignored. Because what's sabotaging your reality isn't outside of you, it's vibrating inside you, and it's about to be exposed. You grew up hearing that reality changes through effort, positive thinking, and dedication. That all it takes is believing something will change, and then the universe responds. But now, look honestly. How many times have you visualized, affirmed, meditated, given yourself to processes, and still nothing happened? Worse, sometimes it feels like the more you try, the farther you get from what you want. It's not bad luck. It's not karma. It's vibrational sabotage. And it happens in such a subtle way that most people don't even notice. You write down, "I am prosperous," but you feel a tightness in your chest when you look at your bank balance. You close your eyes and visualize love, but carry unresolved hurt that still echoes in your breath. You repeat that everything's okay, but something inside you tightens, freezes, resists, and that's when life gets stuck, because the universe doesn't respond to what you write. It responds to what you vibrate without realizing it. This is one of the hardest truths to hear, because you're trying, for real. You're doing what they said works. You're putting in effort to keep the faith, to align your thoughts, to protect yourself from negative energies. But even so, reality seems like it doesn't hear you. And the reason isn't lack of will, it's lack of vibrational awareness. You're trying to create a new reality with the same old vibration, and that's the mistake nobody told you about. The universe doesn't grant wishes. It amplifies frequencies. If the frequency you're sending out is fear, insecurity, doubt, it doesn't matter how much you ask for the opposite. What comes back to you is more of the same. Because the field around you is like an energetic mirror. It reflects what you are, not what you want. And the cruelest part of this equation is that you can deeply want something, but still be sending out the opposite vibration without even knowing it. That creates frustration, weariness, a kind of spiritual exhaustion that most don't even know how to name. And in that state, it's easy to fall into the trap of blaming yourself, of thinking you're not capable, that you're doing everything wrong, that you don't deserve it. But none of that is true. The problem isn't you. The problem is the code you were given to use, an incomplete, limited code designed to keep you stuck in cycles that repeat themselves in different disguises. And here's the most unsettling part. A lot of the popular manifestation methods feed this illusion, because they make you believe you need to do more, want more, repeat more, wait more. And that puts you in a place of lack, of someone who doesn't have it yet, of someone who needs to earn it. And as long as you vibrate like someone who still needs to earn it, everything you want stays far away. Because in the language of the universe, wanting something is stating that it's not yours yet. And the universe just responds, okay, it's still not yours. That completely changes the game. Thoth knew that. That's why his teachings were kept secret, not because they were dangerous in a physical sense, but because they dismantled the entire structure of false spirituality. He taught that real manifestation doesn't come from effort, but from vibrational identity. That the world doesn't respond to what you want to have, but to what you've decided to be. And that, as simple as it sounds, is what challenges the ego the most, because the ego loves methods, rituals, goals. It wants to feel in control, but true manifestation begins when you let go of that control and choose to simply vibrate as someone who already has it. And that doesn't happen in the realm of words. It happens in the realm of the field. Until that's understood, the cycle continues. You visualize, but vibrate scarcity. You affirm, but vibrate waiting. You ask, but vibrate absence. And the field responds perfectly to the frequency you're emitting without even realizing it. This isn't punishment, it's precision. That's why, if you feel like you're doing everything right but life still isn't responding, maybe it's not about doing more. Maybe it's time to stop and notice what you're being while you do. Because that silent vibration is the real language of creation. And this is exactly the point where the illusion starts to fall apart. Because everything you were taught about manifesting will start to feel childish compared to what's about to be revealed. The secret Thoth kept wasn't a ritual. It was a mirror. A mirror that shows what you're actually emitting behind your desires. And once you face that, there's no turning back. And it's at that exact point when the truth starts to scratch at the walls of your comfort zone, that an almost invisible trap is revealed. It doesn't have chains or cold cells. On the contrary, it's beautiful, it's comforting. It shines like light, and that's exactly why almost no one realizes they're trapped. This prison is called performative spirituality. That place where you follow all the steps, do all the rituals, say all the right words. You light incense, meditate regularly, repeat powerful mantras, watch lives, study sacred books, follow spiritual teachers, and you feel like you're evolving. But at the same time, something still hurts inside. Something's still missing, and you can't quite say what it is. On the outside, everything seems to be on the right path, but on the inside, there's still a hole, an anxiety disguised as hope, a quiet movement of waiting for a sign, waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for the right moment, and that waiting installs itself as the dominant frequency, even when you try to convince yourself that you're vibrating faith. That's where the deception lies. Because waiting seems noble, it seems devotional, it seems like spiritual patience, but energetically, it carries a very clear vibrational signature. Not yet, not mine yet, hasn't arrived yet. And the universe gets that without hearing a single word. That subtle waiting feeds lack. And lack disguises itself as spirituality. It hides behind optimistic affirmations, pretty quote posts, conversations about purpose and mission. But the real vibration is still absence. Because deep down, you're still waiting for something external to validate you. For some concrete evidence to prove that now it's finally working. But that moment never comes, because it can't come from the outside. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to go deep into the spiritual path and after a while start losing themselves? It's because they fell into the trap of the endless search, the illusion that they need to heal more, learn more, clear more before they're ready. And the more they believe that, the more they confirm that they're still not enough. The golden prison isn't made of ignorance. It's made of too much poorly digested information. It's when you know everything, but still don't vibrate anything. When you know the names of the universal laws, but live like they're something distant. When you talk about awakening, but still live like you're waiting for someone to turn the light on. And the most dangerous part of all this is that you think you're on the path. But the path isn't what takes you to the destination. The real path is what reveals that you're already on it. There's no arrival, there's recognition. And that recognition doesn't come through effort, it comes through fusion, through embodiment. And here's the central point that few people see. As long as you live like someone who's seeking, you vibrate like someone who hasn't found it yet. And that's the frequency that keeps everything far away. Thoth knew that real power doesn't come from waiting, because waiting puts the power outside of you. Waiting declares that you're not ready yet. Waiting vibrates separation, and as long as you vibrate separation, you reinforce the illusion that something is missing, and that illusion is what sustains your current reality. That's why the secret doesn't reveal itself to those who are still searching. It shows up for those who stop looking and start living like they already know, even without proof, even without evidence, even without guarantees. It's in that vibrational leap that everything changes, but it takes courage. Courage to stop being the seeker, courage to stop hiding behind rituals and pretty words, courage to just be, no acting, no anxiety, no evolution mask, because as long as you're seeking, you still aren't. And when you understand this, the ground starts to shake, because you realize that the spiritual journey, when misunderstood, becomes the most sophisticated form of self-deception. A cycle that seems sacred, but only keeps you spinning in circles. The golden prison, beautiful on the outside, but empty on the inside. And it's right at this point that the secret starts to work, because true power doesn't come from waiting. It gets activated when you stop seeking and start vibrating like someone who's already found it. And it's this fusion with what already exists inside of you, even if you don't know how to name it yet, that opens the field to something completely new. This is where truth starts to cut deeper. Because what holds most people back isn't a lack of knowledge. It's the spiritual character they've learned to play, a carefully rehearsed role that looks aligned but vibrates empty. You've seen it happen. Maybe you've even lived it, repeating phrases like, "I am abundant," "I am light," "I am worthy," while your whole body is saying the exact opposite. Your heart tightens, your mind doubts, your energy doesn't hold up. And yet the phrase is spoken with a smile on your face. But the universe doesn't respond to words, it responds to states. It doesn't matter how much you say you're okay if your vibration is still sending out resistance, insecurity, fear of not being enough. Spirituality, when not lived from the inside out, becomes theater. A sophisticated theater, full of pretty symbols, elaborate rituals, and flawless speeches. But it's all surface, an esoteric polish over a center that's still lost, looking for validation, looking for answers outside, looking to feel something it hasn't yet allowed itself to be. This is the point where a lot of people fall apart inside, because they realize that in their eagerness to seem awakened, they ended up even farther from their essence. They did everything right on paper, followed every step, but the field stays the same. Reality stays stuck, emotions keep swinging, and nothing flows the way they said it would. And why does that happen? Because the focus is on doing, not on being. It's on trying to control the vibration through the mind instead of allowing the body, soul, and consciousness to align in the same frequency. You can't force that. Vibration isn't performance, it's coherence. It's when what you feel, think, say, and do all move together, effortlessly. Effortless because you don't have to appear anymore. You just are. But to live like that, something has to happen. Something radical. And maybe this is the most challenging moment in the true spiritual journey, realizing that to access a new reality, you'll need to let a part of you die. And no, we're not talking about physical death, but vibrational death, the death of the old self. This old self is subtle. It wears pretty clothes, talks about consciousness, meditates, studies. But deep down, it's still in survival mode. It still feels fear of lack, of abandonment, of rejection. It still needs to prove its worth, needs to be accepted, needs the universe to reward it. This old self learned how to use the language of spirituality, but still vibrates like a victim. And as long as it's in control, nothing truly new can be born. Because you can't access a new frequency while carrying an identity that vibrates the past. This is the first revelation. The biggest block to your manifestation isn't external. It's not the technique, it's not the world. It's the role you still refuse to let go of. A role that, even if painful, is familiar. And like every familiar pattern, it feels safe. Even if it traps you, even if it keeps you in cycles, even if it stops you from flying. When you get this, the game changes. You realize you don't need another technique or another course. You need to align internally with the frequency of someone who already is. Not as a fantasy, but as a new vibrational foundation. And that takes a choice, an intimate, silent, irreversible choice. The choice to let the old self die, not through struggle, but with awareness. Because only after that part dissolves does the portal open. And in the next part, we're going to walk through this invisible portal together, where the old self can't come in. A space where reality is no longer created through effort, but through presence. And that's where the real process begins. And when this old self starts to dissolve, something even deeper gets revealed. It's in that space between what you say and what you feel where the truth of your vibration lives. Because it's not just your mind that's expressing itself. Your body is speaking all the time, with every gesture, every breath, every tiny movement you make without thinking. And that silent language is vibrating louder than any affirmation you repeat. You can spend the whole day saying, "I am loved," but if your gaze drops every time someone looks you in the eyes, if your breath shortens when someone gets too close, if your chest tightens just at the thought of trusting again, then that's what's being broadcast. The universe doesn't interpret words. It decodes frequency, and the body is a real-time frequency field. Maybe you say you're prosperous, that you're ready to receive abundance. But your walk still carries weight. Your shoulders are hunched like they're carrying the world. Your stomach tightens every time you open a bill or get a payment notification. All of that is your body saying, "I'm still in survival mode." And the universe responds exactly to that programming. And the most challenging part is that this isn't happening because you're trying to fool yourself. Quite the opposite. You want to change. You're trying everything. But as long as your body hasn't been re-educated to vibrate the new identity, it keeps operating with the old pattern. It's like saying to the world, "I trust," but your muscles are on alert. Your posture is defensive. Your heart is still closed. And why does this matter so much? Because the body isn't just a reflection of the mind. It's the bridge between the inner and outer world. Everything you think, feel, believe, it shows up there. The vibration that comes out of your field starts right there, in the way you take up space, in how you breathe, in your physical presence. That's why so many people live in contradiction without realizing it. They say they believe, that they trust, that they're ready. But the body is still tense, insecure, on edge. And that incoherence is picked up by the universal field as static, as instability, as not yet. And no matter how hard you try, the answer always seems delayed, incomplete, blocked. So the right question isn't, "What are you saying?" but rather, "What is your body saying while you say it?" Because the body vibrates what it believes, and it believes what you repeat with feeling, with embodied intention. It's not enough to repeat affirmations with your eyes closed if your body is saying the opposite with every cell. Vibration doesn't come out of your mouth, it comes out of your entire being. And here's the detail almost nobody teaches. Presence changes everything. When you fully occupy the now with truth, with surrender, with attention to your internal state, something shifts. Your breathing aligns, your gaze steadies, your energy expands. The field around you responds instantly to this realignment. Because now you're saying the same thing with your mind, your body, your field. And when that happens, vibration becomes command. No need to yell, no need to force, just coherence. And that coherence doesn't come from outside. It's born in the moment you stop performing and start listening. Listening to yourself, noticing, letting the body speak, and adjusting what needs to be adjusted. Maybe your posture, maybe how you handle silence, maybe the simple act of breathing with more presence. That's when the real begins to emerge. Because the body doesn't lie, and as long as it's sending out signs of resistance, reality will reflect that frequency. But when it starts to express truth, the universe hears it clearly, hears it without distortion, and responds like it never has before, and truth is going to break into your awareness in the next part, without knocking. And when you finally realize the body vibrates before the mouth speaks, the next impact hits, the waiting. Because even after adjusting words, emotions, posture, many people are still stuck in something so common it seems harmless. But it's exactly what keeps everything frozen. The habit of waiting. Waiting for the universe to bring. waiting for reality to move, waiting for life to give a sign. But no one ever told you that waiting is a frequency, and that frequency carries a dangerous vibration, the vibration of absence. What looks like patience is often scarcity, yanji, in disguise. And what you call faith might, without realizing it, be fed by hidden anxiety. You say, "It's coming," but you feel, "It's not mine yet." You say, "Everything happens in divine timing," but you vibrate, "Nothing changes for me." It's like waiting for a train at a station where it already passed, and no one told you. And the more you wait, the more the field around you picks up. It's still not time. It's still not the moment. It's still not enough. But here's the point Thoth knew, and few dare to accept: the universe doesn't work with clocks. It responds to the vibration of now. It doesn't wait for you to be ready later on. It moves when you decide you already are. Not when everything's perfect, but when you occupy this very moment with the certainty of someone who's already become what they want to live. No proof, no guarantees, just certainty. A quiet, solid certainty that doesn't rely on external evidence. And when that vibration sets in, waiting stops making sense. Thoth never said to wait for divine timing. He said, "Know thyself," because when you know yourself, you find out time isn't what you thought it was. It's not a straight line you walk down until results arrive. Time is a reflection of your frequency, and as long as you vibrate like someone still on the path, the destination keeps slipping further away. But when you vibrate like someone who's already arrived, something in the invisible fabric of reality starts to bend around you. That's the secret behind major consciousness leaps. It's not about waiting to feel ready. It's about activating the state now, even with fear, even with doubt, even without knowing how. Because activation doesn't depend on logic. It depends on alignment. And alignment is presence. It's you taking up your field as the version that already exists in you, but you haven't yet given yourself permission to live. The real turning point happens when you stop asking life for permission to be who you already are. You don't need to attract anymore. You need to activate the vibration of someone who's already abundant. Activate the breath of someone who's already at peace. Activate the gaze of someone who already feels whole, even if nothing around you has changed yet. Because yet is a mind-made illusion to justify the fear of trusting. And as long as you hold on to that yet, you're telling the universe, not now, not me, not here. And this is where everything starts to reorganize. Because when you hold the vibrational state of what you want to live, even without results, even without answers, even in silence, the universe listens, and when it listens, it bends. Because now, you're no longer waiting, you're commanding, not with force, but with coherence. But what happens when you hold that state even though nothing has changed yet? The answer is arriving now, and it's in this moment, when you hold the state even in the face of apparent silence, that something unbelievable begins to happen. The timelines that seem fixed, predictable, rigid, start to bend. And this isn't a metaphor. Science already admits it. Time isn't linear, and reality isn't solid. It's moldable, flexible, shapeable by consciousness. What you always thought was static starts slipping through your perceptions like sand between your fingers. You've felt this before. Those moments when you thought of someone and seconds later they sent you a message. Or when everything seemed impossible and, out of nowhere, an opportunity popped up that took you exactly where you needed to be. You called it coincidence, but in truth, it was synchronicity. It was the vibrational collapse of time responding to your true frequency. Because when your vibration is aligned, the field bends time to serve you. It moves pieces on the invisible board of existence and brings closer what once seemed far away. Those little miracles, which used to feel like rare, unexplainable exceptions, now start becoming the norm, routine. And not because you discovered some magical secret, but because you stopped vibrating like someone on the sidelines of your own reality. You started standing in the center of your field. And when that happens, reality bends, time tilts, logic breaks, because logic is linear, but the vibrational field is spherical. It touches everything at once, with no need for order, cause, or sequence. That's why, when you enter the divine state, that space where you vibrate presence, truth, coherence, reality starts to follow you like a shadow. It stops being something you have to chase. It answers you before you even act. Life finds you in the spaces of alignment. And this isn't a mental trick. It's subtle physics. It's vibrational coherence raised to the point where the universe simply can't ignore you anymore. You've noticed that when you're light, surrendered, whole, things just flow? It's like everything clicks into place without effort. The right people show up. Paths open. Answers come without even being sought. That's not luck. It's the direct result of a clean, present field vibrating in high coherence. And the longer you hold that state, the more it becomes your new normal, the new foundation of your existence. But here comes a critical point. Because holding that state is easy for a moment, for a few minutes of meditation, or during a wave of inspiration, the hard part is staying there. Keeping that vibration active while the external reality still looks old, and this is where most people fall back into the previous pattern, because they believe more in the appearance of the world than in the frequency they're feeling. And then, everything collapses. That's why there's a key, a vibrational key that's rarely talked about. It's not in books. It's not in complicated techniques. It's in the silence between what you think and what you believe. That's where it hides. And only those who dive deep enough into their own presence are able to find it, because it doesn't get activated through effort. It reveals itself through surrender. But to make it permanent, you need a little-known vibrational key, and it's about to be given now, and that's when the forgotten vibrational key shows up. It's not in some ancient practice hidden in a temple or in a mystical secret sealed by oaths. It's inside your own neurological system, but no one taught you how to use it properly, because they made you believe repeating positive phrases would change your life. But the mind doesn't obey random words. It obeys images. And more than that, images charged with emotion. When you feel something with real intensity, the brain records it. It doesn't know the difference between a real experience and one lived through deep inner emotion. If you close your eyes and relive a painful memory, your body reacts with tightness in your chest, a lump in your throat, sweat, tension. That happens because the mind is collapsing that scene as if it's happening again. Now imagine doing that with a future you haven't lived yet, but deeply want to. This is where neurofusion is born. Neurofusion is the name we give to the process of creating, sustaining, and merging an inner image with a real, intense, coherent emotion. It's when you visualize, not like someone who's dreaming, but like someone who's remembering. You activate the internal scene with so much emotion, with so much certainty, that the body starts responding. Your breathing shifts, your heart speeds up, your posture adjusts, and your vibrational field changes on the spot. Because now the body believes. And if the body believes, the universe responds. That's the secret the ancient Hermetic schools knew, but couldn't openly teach. Because when a mind enters neurofusion with an image of power, it stops trying. It embodies. And those who embody already are. There's no longer any distance between what you want and what you vibrate. You become the code, and the code attracts the matching reality. Naturally, unexpectedly, undeniably. It's not magic. It's vibrational science applied with expanded consciousness. While most people are still trying to change their lives with phrases their bodies don't believe, you start fusing what you feel with what you choose to see, and that changes everything. Because now you're not just visualizing, you're living it, and the brain records, this is real. And since the universe responds to state, it answers back with the matching reality. You don't need to convince yourself anymore. You need to feel like it's already true until the body accepts it, and when it does, reality follows. Because vibration doesn't come from desire, it comes from internal certainty. And that certainty is generated when your whole system is aligned. Thought, emotion, breath, image, presence. But there is a side effect, one that almost no one talks about. Because when you reprogram your vibration, you don't just attract the new, you also start repelling everything that doesn't match this new frequency. And that can shake up areas of your life you thought were settled. And that side effect, most people aren't ready for it. And when that field starts responding, something unexpected happens. Parts of you that have always been there, quiet, hidden, asleep, start to dissolve. No noise, no warning, no ceremony. Suddenly, the way you used to think doesn't work anymore. Old justifications lose their meaning. Conversations that once made sense now feel empty. The habits, the places, even relationships that used to feel safe start to reveal they were only supporting your old version. This is the moment when a lot of people panic, because this disconnection from the old you comes with an invisible grief. After all, even though that old self was sabotaging, limited, anxious, controlling, it was familiar. You learned to be it. You got used to it. You used it to protect yourself from uncertainty, to stay in control, to avoid disappointment. But now, it's dying. And the death isn't symbolic. It's vibrational. It's neurological. It's energetic. The frequency that used to sustain that old version starts to drop, and you feel it in your body, a feeling of emptiness, of discomfort, like you don't fit in your own skin anymore, like something is being ripped out. And it is. The you that had to control everything, that needed proof before trusting, that doubted in silence, that questioned its own worth, is being uninstalled. But here's the key, that death is the beginning of the miracle. Because as long as that old self exists, its vibration dominates your field. And the universe, which only responds to what's real inside you, keeps materializing situations that match that old character. When it finally dies, the field opens up to the new, but not some artificial new shaped by techniques. It's an authentic new, revealed through absence, because with the old gone, it's not you that steps in. It's what was always there, just hidden. That's when the miracle begins, and it doesn't come with fireworks or trumpets. It arrives like a strange serenity, a clarity that doesn't shout, a certainty without explanation. You start to notice you're reacting differently to the same situations, that you're no longer seeking approval where you used to beg for it, that you're no longer trying to convince anyone of your worth. Something shifted, and that shift is irreversible. You don't feel like you need to get there anymore because you're already there. Something took the wheel, a level of consciousness that doesn't scream but moves, that doesn't force but generates, that doesn't control but magnetizes. And this quiet force starts guiding your decisions, attracting encounters, causing ruptures, without you needing to explain anything. And when the old you disappears, a new force takes over and changes everything. And when this new force takes over, control vanishes, not because you gave up, but because you finally understood that there's nothing to control. The ocean doesn't ask permission to make a wave. The flower isn't ashamed to bloom. The sun doesn't apologize for shining. They just are. And in that being, there's unquestionable power. A power that doesn't shout, that doesn't persuade, that doesn't push, but that moves everything around it. It's the natural state of the divine in action. You came here like that too, born to flow, to exist with presence, not effort. But something happened. Somewhere in your story, you were taught to justify your existence, to have to earn it, to prove your worth, to fight for the right to be. And that conditioning sank deep, creating an invisible pattern of resistance. Resistance to life, to intuition, to rest, to ease. As if living were a constant battlefield where you have to win to validate your presence. But nature doesn't fight to be. It collaborates with the invisible. The seed doesn't fight the soil. It trusts. It surrenders. It dissolves to emerge. And that's the point. Everything that resists hardens. Everything that trusts blooms. You're relearning that now, how to let go, how not to need to predict everything, how not to live hostage to internal timelines that tell you when you're allowed to feel safe. You're returning to your original state, where trust isn't blind, it's felt. And when that trust replaces control, something reorganizes inside. You no longer need to tense your shoulders to seem strong, or speed up your breathing to feel in charge. You breathe differently, you walk differently, you look differently. This state is so subtle that a mind programmed for effort can't understand it. But the body gets it, and it responds, because it always knew. The truth is, you didn't need to do so much. You just needed to be in coherence with who you already are. This being isn't measured by performance or external validation. It radiates through presence. Just like a tree that stands tall even in silence, you can also vibrate strength without noise. And that changes everything, because the vibration of nature is stable, confident, and silently magnetic. It doesn't chase, it attracts. That's the point where your words change. Because when you're in tune with the flow of life, what you say carries power, not because you memorized affirmations, but because you live what you say, and the universe hears that vibration, not the intention, but the coherence. And when that happens, even your words shift frequency. And it's in this new state of alignment that your word starts to carry a different weight. Not because of volume, but because of origin. It's not your mind talking anymore, it's your field. And when the field speaks, it doesn't beg, it emanates, it commands, it calls realities into existence just by being in coherence with what it declares. Because the vibration became flesh, and the flesh became command. Thoth called this the embodied word, a sound that doesn't come from the throat, but from frequency. A decree that doesn't need to convince because it's already established in the invisible before it's even spoken. You're not asking, you're remembering, you're not trying, you're activating. And that's the difference between asking and manifesting. One comes from doubt, the other from certainty. But that certainty isn't arrogance. It's neutral, calm. There's no anxiety, no rush. Because someone who knows they already are doesn't need to chase. The vibration does the work, and that vibration starts to spread. Like a silent wave, your presence begins to shift the environment before you even speak. People notice. Situations change. Coincidences intensify. None of this is magic in the usual sense. It's just a direct response from the universe to what you've become. And this is important. It's not about who you think you are. It's about what your field already confirms. The mind might still doubt. But if the body vibrates truth, the universe responds to the body, because the body doesn't lie. And if your word comes from it, with emotional, respiratory, and postural truth, it becomes a decree. And the decree doesn't come back empty. Here, even silence speaks, because there are states that need no explanation. Those close to you feel it. Those far away sense it. Your vibration goes before you. And when you open your mouth, it's already too late. The universe has already obeyed you, because it doesn't hear the sound. It hears the source, and if the source is clean, the sound carries creation. That's why Thoth said, "As it is spoken, so it shall be done." But he wasn't telling you to repeat phrases like a parrot. He was saying to be what you speak, so that the phrase isn't a wish, but a reflection. And at that level, asking becomes unnecessary. You know. And those who know simply declare. But one step still remains, the hardest and most powerful one. You've come this far with your vibration aligned, your word in coherence, your body present, and your field active. But now comes what separates those who just understand from those who truly transform. This is the point where many pull back, where the mind starts screaming, where control, even if subtle, tries to dress itself up as faith. But it's not faith if there's still a hidden plan B. It's not surrender if you're still trying to predict the next step. Letting go of control isn't giving up. It's actually the opposite. It's trusting so firmly that you don't even talk about it anymore. It's like planting a seed and not digging it up every hour to see if it's sprouting. You let it be. You release. You allow. But the mind wants safety. It wants to measure progress. It wants to see visible results. And that's where most people get stuck. Because the invisible has no graphs, no deadlines, no timeline. The invisible moves in frequency, not in calendar dates. And here is the secret key Thoth taught, but few understood. The field responds when the ego goes quiet. When "I need it to happen" is replaced by "I become this now," with or without proof. It's when desire transmutes into presence, wanting into being, effort into flow. You stop trying to make the universe work like an emotional mirror and start acting as the source itself, as if everything has already been given. Because it has. You just access it when you stop searching. This is the most challenging provocation, to live as someone who's already received, even when nothing has yet arrived in the physical. And the paradox is that, precisely then, everything starts arriving. Reality can't resist those who vibrate truth. It bends. It organizes. It starts working on your behalf. And you feel it. In the field. In the little signs. In a kind of rest that isn't passivity, but vibrational wisdom. You don't act out of anxiety. You move in congruence. You stop looking for miracles and become the miracle itself. But for that to last, you need to be in a specific place. Not a physical one, a vibrational one, an internal point where everything aligns and where creation becomes inevitable. And that place is about to be revealed. And it's exactly in this silent state, where the mind no longer screams and control has been released, that something begins to reveal itself, not as a mystical vision, nor as an external voice, but as an inner remembrance, a knowing that was always there, but hidden under layers of effort, of seeking, of fear of not being enough. This is the moment when the so-called forbidden book appears, but not like most imagined. It's not made of ancient paper, nor hidden in stone vaults. The book that Thoth protected with so many veils is inside you. Yes, in every cell, in every particle of your field, there are letters not written with ink, but vibrated in pure consciousness. This book cannot be read with the eyes. It only reveals itself to the frequency that deciphers it. That's why so many tried to find it in the wrong places, because it can't be found. It must be activated. And that activation only happens when you stop searching outside and start vibrating from within. When your internal state aligns with the wisdom the book holds. And here's the most important detail. It doesn't open all at once. Each page reveals itself as you sustain the new being that emerged after the death of the old self. Every lived truth, every moment of real presence, every peaceful breath. It's like a word lighting up in this invisible book. That's why it's called forbidden. because it can only be accessed by those who no longer intend to use it as power, but as part of their own essence. Those who try to force it don't find it. Those who want to control it can't see it. But those who live in coherence receive it. And when it opens, you feel it. There's no doubt. A different field sets in, words change, thoughts align, choices refine. And the most amazing thing, reality begins to treat you differently. Not because the universe changed, but because you became the code you used to try to decode. And still, something remains to be done, because every book needs a seal, a final activation, the one that doesn't just open, but seals, the one that turns this new state into a permanent home, not just a brief visit of spiritual clarity. And that activation is happening now. And when the book fully opens, something deep happens. There are no fireworks, no heavenly voices. What appears is a silence so present, so absolute, that everything inside you finally seems to understand. It's already done. Not as a belief, not as a visualization, as a certainty. You no longer see the future as something far away. You have become what you were seeking. And now, instead of waiting for the world to react, it's the world that begins to rearrange itself to match you. This is the difference between someone who asks and someone who decrees. Someone who asks is still positioned in lack. They're saying, without realizing, I don't have, and the field hears that perfectly. But someone who decrees vibrates ownership, not of the physical thing, but of the state. And since everything starts with vibration, the field responds without hesitation. At this point, you no longer need an audience. You don't need validation. Vibration speaks for you. Posture communicates. Your gaze radiates. The small daily choices seal your energetic signature into everything you touch. And that signature now vibrates. I am. And everything begins to treat you that way. People, situations, opportunities, even challenges shift in frequency. Because you are no longer the same. You are no longer a reflection of old patterns. Now, you are the origin, the seed, the starting point. And then, a crucial detail reveals itself. The decree is not completed only within. It needs to be sealed in the physical plane, because yes, the field obeys vibration, but the world responds to action, and the final gesture needs to happen now. It's the moment when you act as someone who already is, not to prove anything, but because it would no longer make sense to act otherwise. This gesture isn't forced or theatrical. It's the silent proof that transformation has occurred, and it serves as a vibrational seal, a conscious anchor in the material plane. From here, there's no turning back. You've entered the new world. Now it's different. The one who got here is not the same as the one who started. Because while many gave up halfway, something in you remained, and that's exactly why now you can access what only those who sustain the state are vibrationally allowed to receive. You didn't come just to consume another piece of spiritual content. You moved through layers, broke down programming, released old versions, faced the mirror, entered the field, silenced the external, and maybe without even realizing, you've already started to manifest a new reality. But now it's time to seal this consciously, and that takes presence, action, a clear, practical activation. So write, now, here, in the comments. With your whole body present, I am the field. It is already done. And as you write, remember, this is not just another random comment. It's the vibrational equivalent of coding a new program into the invisible fabric of reality. What seemed like just a sentence is now a secret code, an activation key, a symbol marking the end of one cycle and the beginning of a new state of being. And for you who stayed until the end, here's what no one else has told you. The body vibrates higher than any mental affirmation. So practice the total presence exercise 3 times a day. Close your eyes, Breathe deeply for 60 seconds and just feel yourself already being. Don't wish. Don't imagine. Feel as if it's already happening. This shapes the field. Reality doesn't wait for results. It responds to coherence. Start observing your micro gestures every day. How you get out of bed, how you speak to the cashier, how you walk. Everything reflects your internal state. Align the body, and the field responds. The field doesn't understand I want. It understands I am. Every time you catch yourself waiting for something to happen, immediately shift into the state of someone who's already living it, and say quietly, "It is. I am. It's done." That's the command that aligns. Words carrying coherent emotion become decree. Record your own voice in an audio saying what you already are. I am abundance. I am health. I am presence. But only say what you can feel as vibrational truth. Listen to it when you wake up and before you go to sleep. This reprograms the neurological and electromagnetic field. You don't manifest alone, you resonate. The more you share this state with others, not just by talking, but by living, the more the collective field organizes. So yes, share this video, this content, this vibration, because when you activate others, you strengthen your own frequency. And here's one last teaching. Thoth's real secret wasn't a technique. It wasn't a ritual. It was an ancient reminder. It already is. And when you realize that, you step out of the game of seeking. You stop chasing signs, gurus, promises, because you understand that the most sacred temple isn't out there. It's vibrating inside you, silent, present, available. You are the field. You are the cause. You are the verb in motion. And now, only one thing is left. Act like someone who already knows. If you've made it this far, it wasn't by chance. It's because something in you is already ready to stop seeking and start being. So write in the comments, I am the field, and I am ready to live as one who already is. That phrase isn't just a reply. It's a vibrational code. And by writing it down, you anchor this new frequency into the physical world and activate others who are also waking up. And if this message touched your heart and you want to help this channel keep spreading transformational content like this, there's a direct way to contribute. The support link is available in the first pinned comment, and any amount already helps expand this awakening network. Because when you support, you vibrate together. And together, we activate so much more. And before you go, hold on one more second. I've set aside a special video waiting for you on the screen, a direct follow-up to this journey. That's where the next key will be delivered. Click it now, and I'll meet you there on the other side.